Hello again, anatomy students. We're going to continue talking about the appendicular skeleton, talking about the lower extremities here. We are going to discuss the tibia and the fibula and the foot in this video. So here you are taking a look at our skeleton, and we're going to look at the lower leg and the foot. These are the bones that are inferior to the knee joint. So I'm going to walk in, because my arms aren't that long, so I can't like point to things while I'm that far away, sorry. So this is the part of the skeleton that we're looking at here, and there were a few things that I wanted to point out just to orient you. The lower leg is made up of two different bones. The larger bone, the shin bone, so there's like a ridge here that you can feel on your own shin. This is called the tibia. The tibia. And the smaller bone that is lateral to it is called the fibula. Now, because these two sound alike and are spelled very similarly, I'm going to require that you spell them correctly on the practical, because if you spell out tibula, Tibula, I don't know if you are referring to the tibia or the fibula because you've combined them together. So that's why I'm requiring that you spell these correctly. So this is tibia, the bigger bone is the tibia, and the smaller one is the fibula. Now, how can you remember that the tibia, the larger bone, is medial? Well, think about your own foot. When you think about your foot, your big toe is always medial. And the big toe lines up with the big bone. The bigger bone is the tibia, so the big bones are medial on the lower aspect of the leg, big toe to tibia. So that's the way that I remember that the tibia is always medial. The other thing that I just wanted to show you while we're down here is that the proximal portion of the tibia is going to articulate with the condyles of the femur and with our patella in order to form the knee joint. So we're not going to get into the different ligaments that make up the knee joint here, but I wanted you to see how they all articulate with each other in order to form that knee joint. So we're looking here at the right leg, and I just want to pan over to our left leg. And there's a great space in between these bones. But once again, I just wanted to show you that the tibia is on the medial aspect of the lower leg, so it matches up with the big toe, so the larger bones are medial, and then our smaller bone is lateral, the fibula. And now we're going to walk through a few of the landmarks that are found on these bones. Okay, so what we are looking at here is the tibia. And I always thought that the tibia looked a little bit like a golf tee, because up here at the very top, you have this flat area where you could put a golf ball. All right, sorry, they're doing some construction apparently across the hall, so I'm going to try and pause this when it gets a little bit too noisy. So anyway, as I was saying, the tibia is distinctive to me because the very top of the tibia looks like a golf tee. I mean, there's this bump that's up here, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it's pretty flat up here at the top. This is to, the purpose here is to receive the condyles of the femur in order to form the knee joint. So this part here, this flattened part, the top of the golf tee, T for tibia, right? The top of the golf tee has a couple of landmarks that you need to know. And I'll get to that in just a second, because the first thing that we need to figure out is which side of this bone is medial and which side of the bone is lateral. And also we need to figure out, are we looking at the front of the bone or at the back of the bone? Is this the anterior surface or the posterior surface? What we're looking at here is the anterior surface of the left tibia. And this is how I know. First of all, I know that this is anterior because there is this large bump at the top of the bone. This is called the tibial tuberosity. And you can even feel this on your own tibia. I know that if you shave your legs, sometimes this is where the razor catches and on your skin right over this area. And you might have a scar, or you may have cut yourself there a couple of times. So this is called the tibial tuberosity. And a tuberosity is just a bump. But this is how I can tell that I'm looking at the front of the tibia. If I'm looking at the back, no tibial tuberosity. It's just smooth. Okay, so this is the anterior aspect. Which side is medial? If you look at the distal end of the bone, you can see that there's this hook. There's this projection. This projection forms the medial aspect of the ankle. So when you feel the medial aspect of the ankle, you'll feel a bump. And what you're feeling is this bony projection here. This is called the medial malleolus. The medial malleolus. And that's on the medial aspect. So this side here must be the lateral aspect of the bone, and so that makes this the left tibia. And let me show you that on our skeleton really quick. Here. So here is our, you can see that. This is our left tibia. And here you can see that tibial malleolus. So that's got to be on the medial aspect, and then the flatter portion is on the lateral aspect of the bone. Okay, moving back up to the proximal end of the bone, we have two condyles to know. Again, since the medial malleolus is medial, I know everything on this side is medial. So this bump up here, this is called the medial condyle. And then obviously the one that's opposite to it is the lateral condyle. And then I made mention before that at the very top, in between these two flattened areas that accept the condyles of the femur to form the knee joint, there's a bump right here. There's this bump. And I'm going to turn it so that you can see it better. This bump that we have here, this is called the intercondylar eminence. Intercondylar eminence. Intercondylar, again, means between the condyles. And then this eminence is just referring to the bump that is in between the two condyles. Okay, so once again, this bone is the tibia. I know that because of the flattened part at the top. It makes it look like a golf tee. This is the anterior aspect. I know that because of the presence of the tibial tuberosity here in the front. On the distal aspect of the bone, you have a hook-like structure called the medial malleolus, which forms the medial aspect of the ankle. At the proximal end of the bone, you have the medial condyle, and then the lateral condyle is opposite it. And the bump up at the top is called the intercondylar eminence. All right, that's it for the tibia. Okay, so here we're looking at a model of the leg. This is the left leg. And I just wanted to show you a little bit more close up how the fibula, which is this lateral thin bone of the leg, articulates with the tibia. And of course, this is the flattened top portion of the tibia, which means that this is the proximal aspect of both bones, and then this is the distal aspect of both bones. The head of the fibula articulates with the tibia at the proximal end. And at the distal end of the fibula, you have a large hook of bone. This is going to form the lateral aspect of the ankle, and this bump of bone is called the lateral malleolus. So on the tibia, which forms the medial aspect of the ankle, we have the medial malleolus. So the tibia has the medial malleolus, and the fibula has the lateral malleolus. And from this view, you can see really well how the tibia and the fibula kind of form this bony arch around some of the foot bones in order to form that ankle bone. So the lateral malleolus on the fibula and the medial malleolus on the tibia are going to help to form that ankle joint. So we are looking here. This is actually a right fibula, and again, you don't need to know that, but just saying. So I can tell that this is the distal end of the bone because of this hook. This is the lateral malleolus. And then this is the proximal end. And I know that this is the proximal end also because there's this flattened portion here. This is the part of the fibula that articulates with the tibia. You don't need to know the name of that. Just know that this is the head. It's got the flat portion there for, articulation with the tibia. And that this portion here, this is called the lateral malleolus, and that's at the distal end of the fibula. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the bones of the foot. And so as I showed you just a few moments ago, the lateral malleolus and the medial malleolus, they're going to help to form this arch, which forms the ankle joint. Well, the tibia and the fibula are going to connect with a bone of the foot in order to form the ankle. This bone is called the talus. The talus. The other bone of the foot that you need to know the name of is the heel bone. This is called the calcaneus. The heel bone is called the calcaneus. It's this great knob of bone that you have to bear the weight of your entire body. So now we're obviously looking at the posterior aspect of the foot, and here you can see a really nice view of the talus. And once again, it articulates with the tibia and the medial malleolus and the fibula with the lateral malleolus in order to form the ankle bone. So when you look at the foot, just remember the big toe is always medial. So we are looking at the left foot here. But the bones of the foot are going to have names that are similar to the bones of the hand. The calcaneus, the talus, and all of these smaller bones of the foot, just like the carpals in the wrist, these all have names. The only two you need to know names for are the calcaneus and the talus. All these other ones, you don't need to know their names. You just need to know that these are tarsals. These are tarsals. So the calcaneus and the talus, and then all of these little bones are all collectively called tarsals, but the only two you need to know the name of are the calcaneus and the talus. Now, the bones that form the middle part of the foot, these are called metatarsals. Similar to the bones of the hand, right? The bones of the hand are the metacarpals. So these are the metatarsals. And then the bones that form the toes are called the phalanges. And just like the ones that are found in the fingers, you have proximal, middle, and distal phalanges on every toe except for the big toe. The big toe has only a proximal phalanx and a distal phalanx. But all of the other toes have 3 phalanges each. These are the proximal phalanges, the middle phalanges, and the distal phalanges. So every toe, even the big one, has a proximal phalanx. Only the little toes have middle phalanges. And then all toes, even our big toe, have distal phalanges. Okay, so once more, these are the bones of the foot. All of these little rock-like bones are called tarsals. You need to know the names of 2 of them. The heel bone is the calcaneus. The bone that articulates with the tibia and the fibula to form the ankle joint is called the talus. The bones that form the middle of the foot are the metatarsals. And then the bones that form the toes are the phalanges. Every bone, even the big toe, every toe has proximal phalanges. Only the smaller toes have middle phalanges. And every toe has distal phalanges. So tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. All right, that's it for the leg and the foot. I hope that you learned a lot and that you enjoyed this video. Talk soon.